Hello and welcome to this Champions League special on Talk of the Terrace. I'm Ola and I'm joined here by Dan.
Hi, how you doing, mate?
How you doing? So we're gonna just give you a quick run through of the Champions League games this week, starting with Arsenal, who play Ludogorets from Bulgaria. And Dan, you're our in-house Arsenal expert. They won 6-0 last time. How do you think this one's gonna go?
I think it really depends on what kind of team Arsene Wenger fields. I think he'll probably go with a weaker team, probably start Ospina in goal, maybe play El Neni, players like that who are slightly on the fringes. Maybe gives Giroud a start. He did well on Saturday coming off the bench. I think it'll be a comfortable win. A clean sheet would be a bonus. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere, playing away. But I think it'll be a relatively easy win.
Yeah, Arsenal are in good form, having lost only 1 in 10 games in the league. And Ludogorets, they have won 3 out of the last 4. So form-wise, they should be, somewhere around the same. But of course, there's differences in leagues. And the last time it was a 6-0 thrashing.
Yeah, there's no such thing as an easy game in the Champions League, especially away from home at these smaller
hostile
grounds.
Bulgaria.
More hostile atmospheres.
And Arsenal are currently topping their group ahead of PSG, who play. Who do PSG play? Let me have a quick look. They play Basel, the last team in their group, logically enough. And how do you think that game's going to go?
Once again, I think probably an easy win for PSG. They're not doing as well as they probably like in the league. They're 6 points behind Nice, currently sitting third position. But with that group, it's pretty obvious that it's going to go down to that Arsenal-PSG game, which is the next match day. That's going to be where the group's decided. I think Arsenal did really well to get a draw away at PSG on the first match day, and that's really kind of set them up to take command of the group. We're strong at the Emirates, strong home form. Yeah, it's one of the two, really.
And Basel, for those of you who don't follow the Swiss Super League as much, Basel lead their league with 12 points. They have 35. The second place team at 23. In the Champions League, Basel have 1 point. So you can see, domestic and continental football are two different things. They're bottom of their group on goal difference behind Ludogorets. But if they get a point here, which they well could do, we've seen Basel do great things in Europe previously. They should get that third place in the group and go to the Europa League. That should be their goal.
Yeah, I think it'll be Basel that will do it. They're a slightly stronger team than Ludogorets. They've had that Champions League experience in the past as well. They know what they're doing. So yeah, I think it'll be them that will go into the Europa League when it gets to that stage.
Yeah, although they do play Ludogorets in Bulgaria in the next game in the Champions League, which, it's a tricky place to go to.
Yeah, it's a small ground. Fans are close into the pitch. It's noisy. It's hostile. It's partisan atmosphere, really.
Yeah. Looking ahead to other English teams, Manchester City play Barcelona again.
Are we going to see a repeat of the hammering at the new camp?
Yeah, because that was bad for Manchester City. That was dreadful.
Obviously, they weren't helped by the red card. It was still 1-0 at that stage, but some of the defensive mistakes in that game and in recent weeks have just been atrocious. They sorted themselves out on Saturday at West Brom. Aguero was sublime, as was Gundogan, but I can't see them beating Barca. I can't.
Yeah. It's gotta be a bit painful and hurtful for Pep as well, because this is,
forget about Pep. It's painful to watch at times. Just watching teams against Barcelona, it's almost like they toy with them and then they hit them with the front three of Messi, Neymar and Suarez.
Yeah,
and you can't stop them at times. There's nothing that City are going to be able to do, I don't think.
They can outplay anyone if they're on form, which they currently are. And this could be bad, but, they're at home, City. So perhaps that'll give them
They've got results at home against the bigger teams of the Champions League before. They've beaten Bayern Munich at home, beaten teams... Did they beat Real Madrid at home? Champions League a few seasons ago?
I think they did.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be worse. You could be in Celtic's position at the bottom of that group.
Yeah, you could be Celtic in that group. And being Celtic in that group is kind of like being the smallest child on a playground full of big boys. And, the big boys all gang up on you.
Yeah,
and
you don't
want to be that little kid, which Celtic currently are.
Yeah, they really haven't showered themselves in glory either like they normally do, because they've beaten Barca a few times in the Champions League in recent years, but this time they've not really produced anything noteworthy.
They have, however, scored 3 goals in 3 games, which,
Yeah.
just looking at the group isn't that bad. But then you have the goals they've actually let in,
Yeah.
which are 12 goals in 3 games, and well, you're just not going to get anywhere with that.
No.
However, they could, with a bit of luck and a bit of fighting spirit, which they're Scottish, so they have. They could get that 3rd place if they do well in the last 3 games, because
Yeah, definitely.
there's 2 games. I'm losing count.
I think they've got to win tonight, though.
Yeah.
They have to win
They
tonight.
have to win tonight against a German or some German team, as a Celtic.
Yeah, there's a bit of a friendly rivalry between those
Yeah.
two, isn't there?
That's
Yeah,
if you don't know that
Celtic-
story, it's a pub in Glasgow didn't know how to write Mönchengladbach on their board ahead of the game, saying, come here, watch the game. So they wrote Celtic versus a German team, and the Borussia Mönchengladbach head of media over there, he should get a pay rise because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
They've capitalized on that and used that for every purpose they can. Their Twitter account was named. They changed the name to a German team at one point.
Yeah.
And it's good to see clubs not take themselves that seriously.
Yeah, especially like obviously the Champions League is Europe's biggest competition. Everyone wants to do well in it, but it's nice to just see a bit of fun going on.
And it should be a good game, that one, if you choose to watch that one instead of Barcelona Manchester City.
Hey, I'll tell you what the best thing to watch is. BT Sport, if you watch the goals show, you get every time there is a goal scored, it jumps to that game. You've got James Horcastle, Raphael Honigstein, and Julien Loren. Is that the French guy?
Yes, I think he's the French guy.
They give you analysis as you go through. It's brilliant. It's like having a continuous match of the day for 90 minutes. It's great. I'd recommend watching it.
Well, there you go. That
wasn't sponsored
yeah.
either. That was a shameless plug. I apologise.
There's your plan for the evening then. Just go watch that instead of watching one single game. If you're not too fussed about it, you could get all the goals.
Yeah.
Instead. And we go now to...
where are we off to next?
We're off to... I need to look down my list. We're off to Leicester, who played Copenhagen in
Leicester.
Denmark.
Leicester.
And Leicester lead their group with quite a big gap. They have 9 points. Copenhagen and Porto in 2nd and 3rd have 4. So if they win this one, they're guaranteed to go through.
Yeah, they qualify if they win this one, I think.
So,
well, it depends on the result in the other game. But
most likely they will go
it's
through
looking
with
like
a good
Leicester
result here. But it's Denmark. It's cold, and the stadium in Copenhagen, the park, as it translates to. It's not a big stadium. It's a smaller one. It's much like the Ludogorets one. It's intimate, if you want to call it that, and the fans really get behind their team. And Ståle Solbakken, the manager of Copenhagen, he's worked miracles there before, and Copenhagen are a really strong side, and they could quite possibly beat Leicester, because Leicester, everyone knows Leicester now. It's not a surprise anymore.
I still fancy Leicester to win this one. I mean, they were helped by the draw. They've been put in a winnable group without a doubt. If you look at the other English teams and say, would you want to be in any other groups? The answer is no. That is the best group for Leicester to be in.
Yeah,
they're all beatable teams.
Yeah,
and they've done brilliantly to be on 9 points. I think they'll qualify top of the group. Obviously, their form in the Premier League's not been as good, but they've been sublime in the Champions League. So yeah, I fancy them to win it again tonight.
Yeah, and the other game in that group is Porto play Club Brugge, who are bottom of the group with 0 points, and Porto really should win this one to get a foot over Copenhagen. If Copenhagen loses today, then Porto can get ahead and possibly just need a draw against Copenhagen in the second game.
Yeah, I've been a bit disappointed with Club Brugge, if I'm honest. They've got some good young attacking players. You look at people like Iscadoro and Diaby, who are blessed with a lot of pace and skill, both good finishers. I saw a bit of them in the game against Leicester, but they didn't really produce as they have in the Belgian Pro League. And for Porto tonight, watch out for Andre Silva and Diego Jota, the 2 young strikers. They've been brilliant in recent weeks. They formed the youngest strike partnership in Champions League history in the last match day. So yeah, keep an eye out for them. They're both live wires, both promising young players.
Yeah. Off to the last group with an English team, and that's Group That's Group E with Tottenham, who face Bayer Leverkusen tonight, or tomorrow night actually. And Tottenham are currently second in that group. They're 1 point behind Monaco, 1 point above Bayer Leverkusen, and 2 points above bottom of the group CSKA. And this group is just a free for all. Everyone can go anywhere in this group. Tottenham's still a very, very good possibility of actually going out with nothing. If they don't win today, they need to win tomorrow. They need to win on Wednesday.
Yeah, I almost look at this as the group of death. You can't, like, you look at all the teams and you could say realistically that all four of the teams could win the group. Anyone can come anywhere. One result that goes against Tottenham tonight could change the whole dynamic of the group. You never know. It's just, like you said, it's a free-for-all. But I do think Tottenham will win tonight. Leverkusen have been poor in recent weeks. They're 10th in the Bundesliga, lost 4 games this season, on a goal difference of 0, both in the Champions League and in the Bundesliga. So, yeah, I fancy Tottenham.
Yeah, Tottenham are a good team who can hurt anyone on their day. And they have some quality players in Eriksen, in Harry Kane, in Dele Alli, and Hugo Lloris at the back.
Yeah,
who apparently, according to the internet, could also save Harambe, if you believe the internet.
Don't believe the internet. Never believe the internet.
So this Tottenham team should pull through with this group, but as you say, it's one game go wrong and you're out of it.
I do think they've looked a lot weaker with Kane being injured. Jansen's not really stepped up to the plate. I think he was called a championship standard player by Tony Cascarino.
It's a bit harsh. That's a
little bit harsh. He's not, but he hasn't quite lived up to his 18 million price tag.
But as we know, can sometimes take time for a player to adapt. He's come from, is it PSV Eindhoven he's come from?
I know, it was AZ Alkmaar.
AZ Alkmaar. And, there is a step up there from the Dutch Eredivisie to the Premier League. There is quite a big step there.
Well, yeah, we've seen so many players try and cross that divide and fail. Just Alfonso Alves being the perfect
perhaps
example.
He can, use a night like tomorrow in a Champions League where he's, there's not the same pressure as in the Premier League.
Yeah, he did score at the weekend, but I think he needs a goal from open play. He scored 2 penalties so far. He needs something to give him a bit of life, a bit of spark.
Yeah, and I can see him scoring against this Bayer Leverkusen team who's been shaky at the back.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just what he needs to get rolling, so to speak.
What about Monaco CSKA?
That is a game. CSKA away from home is a mixed bag. It's either, they play their best football or they play the absolute worst they can possibly be, because CSKA is kind of a team that you've been thinking, well, they've been around for a while in the European competitions, been bouncing around. And you think maybe this is their year, maybe they can get to that quarterfinal with a bit of luck. And you thought, when you saw this group, you thought, yeah, they can get out of this. They can get to that quarterfinal this year with a bit of luck, because that group is so quote unquote easy compared to anything else they could have gotten into.
Yeah, I think the thing
but
with
then
CSKA
they just failed.
They need that clean sheet. There's that much talked about stat that Igor Akinfeev hasn't had a clean sheet in the Champions League in, what was it, 10 years? I
think it was 10 years the other round.
Yeah, so I think they almost need that under their belt to say, let's push on, let's possibly look at the quarterfinals, something like that. Because we've seen teams similar to the size of CSKA go to the quarterfinals.
Shakhtar Donetsk, Apoel Nicosia from Cyprus is smaller than CSKA.
We've seen teams do it before. Even
PSV Eindhoven back in 2005 when they got to the semi-finals.
Even when you look at the first time when Atletico reached the final a couple of years back, they weren't necessarily looked at as a world-class big team. They were kind of the third team in Spain, which you could argue they still are. But yeah, teams like that are more than capable of reaching the quarterfinals. It just takes a somewhat lucky draw. A strong performance away from home, I think, is crucial, without a doubt, especially in the knockout stage. And you're there. When you get past the group stage, it's 2 games, and then you're already looking at the quarterfinals. So, yeah, anything can happen.
If CSKA are to rally, because this is the game to rally in, because playing Monaco in Monaco is not the worst game you could get if you need a win, because people don't go there. They don't care about football in Monaco. And the stadiums, it's got a running track around it. The fans don't get that close. Sometimes there's more away fans than there are home fans to the games.
Yeah.
It's not the worst place to go, but Monaco are in good form.
I was going to say, saying that they are in relatively
So,
good form.
this game could go either way.
So, yeah, either way. And that group, anybody's for the taking, really. Whoever wants to step up to the plate and take control of it, then it's their group.
Group F is the next one we'll go to, which is Borussia Dortmund, Real Madrid, Sporting Lisbon, and Legia Warszawa. And Borussia Dortmund plays Sporting, who Sporting needs a win in order to catch up to, Dortmund and Real Madrid, who are ahead. If they win this, they go 1 point behind Dortmund, and then they have a shot of actually progressing. Otherwise, if they lose this one, or even if they draw, Sporting are going to the Europa League because Legia Warszawa is not a threat to anyone at the moment.
Yeah, their goal difference is not great, -12 at the moment. But you're saying about Sporting need to get a win over Dortmund tonight. I think they might be able to do it. Dortmund haven't been great in recent weeks. They drew the big derby with Schalke at the weekend. They've lost to Leipzig in recent weeks in the Bundesliga. So Sporting could go to Germany and get a result. You never know. But I do think that group is in a similar sort of situation to Group A with Arsenal and PSG, where it's going to be down to whoever wins that Real Dortmund clash. So, yeah, but I think Sporting, as you say, are definitely set on for that Europa League spot.
The Sporting have drawn 3 games in a row now in the league with teams who are, worse than them on paper.
Yeah.
So they're not in great form themselves, but perhaps, getting a game like this now could reignite their form, because Borussia Dortmund have not been in great form, neither of Sporting. So this is kind of a game that is anyone's up for the taking. But it is in Dortmund. It is at the Signal Iduna Park.
That might be the struggle for them, I think.
Which, might be the thing that tips the
definitely
tips the cap in Dortmund's favour, so to speak.
Yeah.
And the Real Madrid should, just 2 words on that game. Real Madrid should win it.
Yeah, Real
because
Madrid. Yeah,
Legia Warszawa have scored 1 goal in the first 3 games. They've shipped 13.
Oh, that goal was against Real Madrid.
Yes, it was. That's true. So if they get that 1 goal and then just shove everyone into their own box and just defend from there, maybe they can get a result. Maybe
anything can happen in football.
Yeah,
anything can happen. But Real Madrid have just been dominant. They're the only team in Europe's top 5 leagues to have not lost a game in any competition this season. So that just speaks for itself about how dominant they've been.
Let's go back up to Group B, which is Napoli, Besiktas, Benfica, and Dynamo Kiev. That is a group which is much like the Group E and Group H as well, which is kind of everyone's a free-for-all group where everyone can beat everyone.
Yeah.
And currently Napoli are top of that group with 6 points, Besiktas is second with 5, and Benfica third with 4 points, while Dynamo Kiev are at the bottom with only 1 point. So it looks to be between Benfica, Besiktas, and
I can't
Napoli.
Separate those top 3. I think the loss of Arkadiusz Milik for Napoli to injury is a big blow. He's their main striker. He was the man brought in to replace Gonzalo Higuain, of course. He's done really well before his injury. I think he's going to be out for about 5 to 6 months, so he's going to be a massive loss. I fancy Besiktas to win that group.
Yeah, and they play Napoli tonight in Turkey, and everyone knows, Turkey is not the place you want to go if you're playing football.
Very hostile atmosphere. I think they've got some really good attacking players. Look at Vincent Aboubakar. He's been brought in from Porto over the summer. He's started really brightly. And then you've got Ricardo Quaresma as well. He's capable of magic on his day. He scored a wonderful goal in the last match day. But they don't write off Benfica either. They're also unbeaten in the league, as are Besiktas. So, yeah, it's a really difficult group to decide.
Yeah, and Benfica played Dynamo Kiev, and Benfica at home should win that one. They need to win that one to stay in touch with whoever wins, or maybe even go top if they're lucky.
Yeah.
They win with enough goals to Dynamo Kiev, and the other 2 draw their game.
Yeah.
So we're saying Dynamo Kiev are not going anywhere in this group.
No,
unfortunately,
no.
because they've lost their best players.
Yeah, I
summer.
don't think so. They lost Yunus Belanda, he's left. Alexander Dragovic gone to Bayer Leverkusen, of course. They've lost their best talent that got them into that position where they are now. So yeah, bottom of the group, personally.
Yeah, the last group of of the Champions League is Group H, with Juventus, Sevilla, Lyon, and Dinamo Zagreb. And Juventus play Lyon tonight in Turin. And if they win this, they very much tell Lyon, you're not going anywhere. So Lyon needs to win this because they have 3 points, and Sevilla and Juventus, who are in front of them, have 7. So they need a win today.
Yeah, it's definitely a must-win for Lyon. They were okay. They were okay against Juventus last match day. Obviously, Lacazette missed a penalty, wasn't up to scratch. They need him to fire. They need him to get the goals for them because there's not really many options up there apart from him. Obviously, they've got Nabil Fekir, but he's more of a wide player now. They need a result tonight, definitely. But I've been really impressed with Sevilla so far.
Yeah, Sevilla's been doing... Well, they've been doing what they've been doing in the Europa League for the past years. They've been bossing it, so to speak. And if and when Sevilla go through this group, I think they have a shot at actually making it all the way to the final if they're lucky with who they get in the first 2 games. And then once you get to the quarterfinal, semi-final stage, anyone can go through. So if they're lucky with who they get in the next round, if they go through.
Yeah, I think if you're Sevilla and you finish second in that group, you're looking at, you want the first place team from either Group B, Group E, or Group G. That's who you want.
That's who you want.
Those
ideally.
we've spoken about, obviously, those are the groups where it's a bit tighter. There's 4 decent teams in all of those groups. So that's realistically the team you want if you are Sevilla. You don't want the big boys like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich. You don't want those teams because obviously you want to go as far as you can. So yeah. But I think Samir Nasri is going to be a huge loss.
Yeah, he's out injured for a while now, and he's been
vastly improved.
Yeah.
I think is the only way to describe it.
Where has he been the last 2 years, basically?
He was starting to look like the Samir Nasri of old.
Yeah,
which pains me to say a little bit because he should still be at Arsenal, but not a lot we can do now. What about Atletico Madrid and Bayern in Group D?
Yeah, Group D. Atletico Madrid and Bayern Munich should be winning this group. And currently Atletico Madrid lead this group by 3 points. And Atletico Madrid play Rostov tonight in Madrid. And
easy win for them.
Yeah,
I think
Rostov really, they're a fairy tale.
They were almost like Leicester in a way.
Yeah, they were by many described as the Leicester of Europe. No, of Russia, actually. The Leicester of Russia. But they've just shown they're just not ready for this kind of level when it comes to the likes of Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
And there's just no way they're getting any point from this game tonight. It's a bit more... It looks a bit brighter for PSV Eindhoven, who we know are a good side when they click.
Yeah.
But then again, it's Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich, like Barcelona, can't play rings around anyone if they have to. But if PSV get an early goal, then they're strong at the back, and Bayern Munich is not as good as Barcelona in actually putting constant pressure with passing, linking up in passing, like Barcelona are with Neymar, Messi, and Suarez. And if PSV get a goal and then just stay back, they might have problems actually breaking through that wall.
Yeah, I've not been too impressed with Bayern recently. They're obviously still getting the results, but the performances haven't quite been there. They're not looking like the same team they were last season, where they were just killing off teams week in, week out, scoring 4 or 5 goals every week. But obviously, if you're still good enough to get those results, you're a threat to any team.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how you win as long as you win.
Yeah.
It's the gist of it, basically. And Bayern Munich should win this 9 times out of 10. Maybe this
Well,
is the 10th time.
PSV did well at the Allianz in the last match.
They did very
pretty
well
impressive performance and a respectable result.
Yeah.
So, but who do you think's going to finish top of that group?
I think it's going to be Atletico Madrid because
Yeah,
they
I
have
agree.
that 3-point gap, and they're not going to give that one away.
Personally, I know it's a bit early on in the competition to start making predictions, but I think you've got to consider Atleti as one of the favourites to win the whole competition again. They've obviously a lot is made of how strong their defence is. Don't concede many goals. They haven't conceded yet in the Champions League, which just speaks volumes, especially being in a group with attacking teams such as Bayern and PSV. But Simeone's done really well to add in terms of attacking players over the summer. Obviously, he's brought in Gamero, who's got 5 goals in La Liga already this season. Griezmann's just developed into a world-class player in the past year. Carrasco's really started to step up as well. He's been sublime recently. Brought in players like Gaetan as well, who add that bit off the bench if they don't start. Obviously, Torres is still there. Youngsters like Carrera as well can have a huge impact. So I think Simeone's done really well in strengthening the team where it needed to be strengthened and almost making it a two-dimensional team and not just relying on not conceding and nicking the odd goal. So I think they're going to be a real threat in the Champions League this year.
Definitely. I think Atletico Madrid, along with the obvious ones, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Juventus, they're going to be up there.
Yeah.
I don't really see a big outsider this year, as in Atletico Madrid were a few years ago, or Shakhtar Donetsk been previously. I don't really see one of those coming out this year. Maybe, just maybe Sevilla can do that. Be that kind of like the new boy in town.
What do we think about the English teams?
I think
How are they
Leicester are
gonna
going to
do?
get knocked out as soon as they hit the knockout rounds. I don't think they'll go through the first one. Depends on who they get.
I think
if
it's
they're
very
lucky with
dependent
the draw,
on the opponent, really.
then
What about
but
Arsenal?
they could end up facing PSG,
Yeah, you never know.
and then I think they'll go out.
Hmm.
Arsenal, Arsenal is Arsenal, and Arsenal always, they always go out when they look like they're not going to. They look good, but then they get someone like Barcelona and just get us outplayed,
Yeah.
which I'm fearing is what's going to happen this year as well, because Arsenal are Arsenal. It's much like the England national team. You think maybe this is our year, and then you get to the actual competition, and it's like, no, we're not going to win this.
Yeah. We've been much improved this season, but it's a book that we've all read before. It's a story that we've all read before. We know probably exactly what's going to happen. Injuries will happen. We'll have a few poor results, knocked out the Champions League, and same old story, really.
And people will cry for Wenger's head again, as always.
Mm.
Manchester City in Europe are Manchester City in Europe. It's a roller coaster ride that you don't really want to be on, but you can't get off, because they're either so good, or they're so shit. It's nothing in between, and they're gonna get knocked out at some point. They're not gonna reach the semi-finals this year.
Yeah, but saying that, I think there's going to be a big disappointment if they don't. Because you can't deny that Pellegrini was a very good manager for Man City, and obviously he's been replaced by Guardiola to bring that European success, because Guardiola's done it in the past.
That is the only thing he's gonna be, held accountable for.
That's the one thing he's going to be judged for.
As long as he gets the Champions League spot in the league, then the Champions League win that's where he's going with that team. That's what they judge him on in the boardroom. I'm thinking, because they've already won the league, and as long as they want to win it again, of course, but they really, really, really just want that European success, much like PSG.
Mm-hmm.
They want that European success so badly, but that might also be their downfall.
Yeah, I think if you
But they want
look
it too
at the
bad.
squad that City have got, to not be pushing the bigger teams is disappointing for them, because obviously you've got the likes of Aguero and De Bruyne, who are two world-class attacking players. You've got Gundogan in behind them, was brilliant at the weekend. He's not quite fired in recent weeks, but I think we'll see him step up over the next couple of months. And then obviously you've got players like Kompany and Otamendi at the back, who are, I wouldn't quite say world-class centre-backs, but they're pushing it towards that kind of world-class standard. But I don't know. I don't know what it is about them. I don't know whether it's the mentality in Europe, the fear of the bigger teams, maybe the almost lack of experience in the Champions League. They've not really done it before. I don't know. Just if I was a Man City fan and it was get out of the group stage, get knocked out, or just reach the quarterfinals, I'd be disappointed because they've got arguably the strongest squad out of all of the English teams that are currently in the Champions League. Or you would look at like Chelsea, United to go into the Champions League next year. So I think they've got to do a lot better than they have done.
Yeah, and they should reach the semi-finals to be happy with themselves.
Without a doubt.
But is that actually achievable this year? It's going to depend on their draw. If they now end second in their group, which it looks like they will, then they could potentially face Atletico Madrid. They could face Real Madrid, or they could get easier, quote unquote, teams like Napoli, like Monaco, or they could get Juventus. So it all depends on which, much like for many of the other teams, it depends on how far they can go. Depends on that draw, that very first draw.
Should we do some quick score predictions? Do you want to do some score predictions?
We haven't talked about Tottenham though. We need to quickly just.
You want to go on? Right,
we could quickly go on to Tottenham and.
I think I've just shown when an Arsenal fan there. We'll just ignore Tottenham.
Yeah,
my apologies.
Tottenham, they don't have the experience of the other teams. They haven't really been there before. They've been there before, like once or twice, but they haven't really, they haven't done anything. They've just been along for the ride, kind of. And if they now end up going through to the knockout stages, they could do anything, but most likely they're gonna get knocked out at say the quarterfinals.
Mm. Yeah. You've spoken about that lack of experience. A lot is made of Tottenham's young squad. I think that adds to it as well. Not even just lack of Champions League experience, lack of experience in general. They don't know how to deal with the big game situations. They do well in the Premier League in the big games, granted, but Europe's a whole different ball game. You're facing the unexpected in a way. You don't know what you're going to come up against. So yeah. I think they'll get out of the group though.
Yeah, I think they will get out of that group though as well because of the form they're in, because they are quite a good team, and Bayer Leverkusen are not in good form, and CSKA is it's CSKA. So score predictions. Let's do the English teams. Arsenal versus Ludogorets Razgrad. How's that going to go? Is it going to be another 6-0? Or are we going to see a bit more modest Arsenal win, or will they actually lose this?
I'm going to say 3-0 Arsenal.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Ludogorets actually get one. I'm going to say 3-1 Arsenal.
Okay.
Then there's we could do Celtic as well. Borussia Mönchengladbach Celtic. How's that going to go in Germany?
I'm going to go with 3-0 again. 3-0 Borussia Mönchengladbach. I think this will be the final nail in the Celtic coffin.
Yeah. I think Gladbach will take this, but it'll be 2-0, I think, because they haven't been that great. But Celtic, have not been great either.
Yeah, I think Celtic will go out and show a lot of fight, but I think the quality is going to shine through in the end.
Yeah. And then there's Tottenham by Leverkusen. Who's going to win that one? That could be potentially be a very close one.
I'm going to say 2-0 Tottenham. I think Tottenham will score early in the first half, and then Leverkusen will be chasing the game, and they'll score the second goal towards the end.
I think this will be a draw. I'm saying 1-1.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a draw because it's both teams don't want to. The fear of losing, I think, overcomes them, so they rather settle for a draw than going all out for a win and then end up losing. So I think we see a 1-1.
That's your love for German football shining through, isn't it?
It kind of is, but then again, Leverkusen are a decent side. They just need to get running.
Mm.
Then there's Leicester, who play Copenhagen in Denmark, and Leicester won the last one. And I think they'll win this one as well. I think they'll get a 1-0 win.
I was going to say 1-0 as well. It's going to be a very, very tight game.
It's going to be a Leicester. It's going to be a Leicester-y game.
Yeah, definitely.
And as much as I like Copenhagen, and their manager, I don't think they'll win this one. I think Leicester will just scrape through by the skin of their teeth.
What about Man City? That's obviously the big one,
Yeah,
the big standout tie in this match day.
The big Pep versus Barcelona, the rematch.
I don't know what to go with. I really don't.
I think Barcelona will win 3-1. I think Aguero will get one for City, and then Messi, Suarez, and Neymar will get.
I think
just
3-2. I think Aguero will get both.
I'll play that somewhat shaky back for City, because Company and Otamendi, let's say they're starting at the back, they're not going to keep up with Messi, Suarez, and Neymar.
And I think it'll probably be Company and Stones, but
yeah, Stones.
Stones' lack of experience might be the issue.
And none of them are actually fast.
No.
If they need to run.
Yeah, and obviously if you think back to the last match day when City went to the new camp, Stones was awful, to put it nicely. He made a number of errors. 2 of them led to goals. They've really got to find a way to contain that front three, but that's obviously a lot easier said than done. You're coming up against arguably the 3 best attackers in the world. What can you do? I think Barcelona are out winners. I'm saying 3-2.
Yeah. So that's all from us then. Enjoy the midweek Champions League fixtures. The first one kicks off at 5:45 with Besiktas, who play Napoli in Turkey. And then the rest kicks off at normal time, 7:45. Enjoy the games, people.
Thank you very much.